Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Rebel Show. I hope you're enjoying these. I'm having fun doing them. You know that already, though. So last episode we were talking about how America's a nation designed to be free. America's a nation designed to self-govern and exchange ideas and stuff. And we're seeing that being kind of crushed and taken away by media and social media. And that's something that we got to get back under our control. But this episode, I want to talk a little bit about the same type of thing, except we're going to talk about personal responsibilities to protect ourselves. You know, it is our responsibility as Americans to protect ourselves and to learn how. I'm talking about from like violence and stuff. You know, we can learn to have an awareness to where we don't have to depend on anyone else, including the police and stuff. You know, we love our police, but they're not always around. So as America gets crazier, it's important for us to learn basic skills to protect ourselves and our families. You know, a hunter learns to hunt, a driver learns the rules of the road, and we must learn the ways of the samurai. Just kidding. But my point is, you know, if we start to think about how we interact with our world every day, and start to look at how we are not necessarily protected by a cop all the time, we can take steps to ensure that we can have our own safety. So as Jonathan Gillum, he says, as a civilian, we should never assume our safety is taken care of by external forces. We should assume it's not. You know, it's up to us, really. Even the Constitution does not require the police to protect us. They're there to protect and to help, but a lot of times they're a little ways away before they can help us. You know, look at the Boston Marathon bombing of April 15th, 2013, where people put down backpacks and walked away, and as people ran by, the bombs went off, and a lot of people were injured. You know, if people were looking around and just aware of their surroundings, they may have seen those bags and thought, what's going on here? That looks weird, and they could have walked away. They could have warned others. They could have acted, but because they weren't thinking defensively in a sense, they did nothing. You know, on May 22nd, 2017, Islamic attackers detonated a IED, an improvised explosive device, outside an Ariana Grande concert. You know, again, terrorist attacks and robberies, rapes are real. We need to be thinking about this stuff, and we need to be strategically looking at how we can protect ourselves when we go into environments that could be a threat. You know, we cannot assume we're protected. We have to do our research. You know, we should learn how to predict and protect ourselves from an attack. If we put ourselves in the minds of an attacker and figure out weak spots in like our house or our daily activities in our workplaces, we can be better prepared when things arise. You know, so start to think, if I was going to rob me, how would I do it, you know? We can like break down a house and how to do this. Like we could walk inside the house and see, are there multiple entrances and exits? We can put a plan into place to exit if there's an emergency. You know, we should all do this with our home, not just for like a robbery, but a fire. If there's a fire, what's our game plan depending on where the fire is? We should discuss and plan these things out, you know? Put yourself in the shoes of a robber. How would you rob yourself? What would you do? You know, walk outside your house. Are there any vulnerable entry points like low windows, unlocked garages, things like that, open windows, unlocked doors that you don't lock, you know? And how easy is it to access your yard? You know, think about like lighting. Do you have lights on at night and stuff like that? Are you looking out the windows regularly? You can even look at like the Google Earth view of your neighborhood. That's a good thing to do, just to familiarize yourself with your neighborhood, not just your street. How many entrances and exits are there from your street? If you had to get away quickly, how many ways could you exit if one way was blocked or had something going on? Could you get out another route? These are things to consider if you ever had anything go on that you would have to escape from. You know, what's a route to escape on foot if you couldn't? Is there a neighborhood or neighbor's house you could run through, or is there a sidewalk somewhere leading to a school or something you could cut through that way to get away? You know, depending on the size of your neighborhood or street, does your house appeal to a burglar? You know, I think back of the Home Alone, the first Home Alone. Those two robbers were scouting homes, looking to see which ones would be a potential robbery. And, you know, they dressed as a police officer to go in, just scout the area and look and see what's in the house. What could we do here? Be aware of things like that. And I'm not saying don't have a nice house or a nice yard. I'm just saying consider this in a plan. We have a really nice house. We have a nice front yard. It could be considered as a target. So that would mean you would need to consider, I'm a target. How does that implement in a safety plan? And it's always good to use a phone to take video of your assets and valuables throughout your home. Just take pictures or video and store that somewhere to where if things are stolen, you could show in the video what was stolen. And if you have firearms, write down the serial numbers and store them in a safe place. Write them down, store them somewhere where you can get to them or you can download that information. Because if your guns get stolen, you could give that information to the police officers. It's always good to have a plan in case of emergency or a power outage, a robbery, or a fire. This is something that I think we're getting away from, is thinking strategically about our personal lives. That's why I'm a huge fan of the neighborhood watch. If neighborhoods got together and they said, hey, I'll watch your house, you watch mine. If there's a problem, we'll all meet at the house that's having the problem, right? And we'll help each other out, Have a plan. Have extra food in the house, water, candles, batteries. I have a kerosene-fueled heater, so if the power goes out and my heat don't work, I can just use the kerosene heater and I'm good. I did that on purpose. I don't have a wood-burning stove at my house, so I need a secondary thing. I think it was $140 or something like that to get a kerosene heater. And kerosene, 5-gallon container, will last a long time. And extra food. You don't need filet mignon, but you can buy some beans and rice in the big quantities, or you can get some of those big buckets of emergency food online, and that'll last a long time. Water. Put a couple gallons of water in the garage or in storage. Candles. Interesting. And batteries for your flashlights and stuff. But candles, if you're stuck in a car, let's say you were stranded in a car and you have to wait for help or something, and you have a candle in there, the heat of that candle could help keep you alive and not keep from freezing, if you couldn't start the car or something. So consider candles in your plan here. We may not be able to go through physical training for these types of events. We can practice them mentally. You can sit back and think and run through your mind how you would respond in different situations. And you should do that. Create a plan of action, share it and practice it. My wife and I have these little Nerf guns, and one of us will go hide and the other one has to try to find the other one. And then whoever sees the person first tries to shoot him with the Nerf gun. And the point is to practice clearing your house. And also for the person that's hiding, you're listening to the different creaks and stuff around your house and the different flaws where you can hear, oh, they're coming down the stairs. Oh, they just opened the door. Different things like that. You begin to hear how your house works when someone's looking for you and you're trying to hide from them. It's just a fun game, to play, practice clearing the house. Go hide, have the other person find you, and just when you're sitting there listening, waiting for them to find you, it tells a lot about your house. And if you ever were in a situation where you had to hide, you'd know, well, if they open that door and they put their foot in just inside the door, it creaks there, or that third step creaks, I know right where they are. And that could give you an opportunity to attack if you needed to defend yourself. So, another thing, I recommend praying for protection. I pray over my house all the time. I just imagine there's a bubble of protection over my house, and we should think strategically like that because the presence of God and angels are out there. God puts angels around us to protect us, and we can utilize them if we actively do it. So pray for protection for our friends and families when we're out. It's important, and we must be prepared. Think about these things. It's important. This is a small overview of a much bigger topic, of course, so I encourage everyone to begin this strategically and prepare themselves. And it's fun to prepare. It's fun to know that, I've got a safety net, I've got a week's supply of food and water, and I'm in good shape if anything were to ever happen. I know my house, I know where the vulnerabilities are, so I can buy a cheap little camera or a light or something to put out there and just be aware. Statistically, in an active killer situation, like at one of those nightclubs or things that happen at schools occasionally, most people freeze in fear or drop to the ground. And they're the ones that die because they're just static. They don't do anything. The people who run or attack the shooter tend to live, even if they get injured. So an attacker, once if someone tries to attack them, typically the attacker will back down, because these people that do this type of stuff are weak and they're cowards. So if you stand up to them, they typically turn the gun on themselves. So that's what happened at the nightclub, I believe. It took a long time, and some people stood up to him, and he turned the gun on himself. So consider, like, if you are ever in a situation like this, don't just fall to the ground. You can consider, okay, am I in a position where I can attack? Can I run and get cover? And cover's not a drywall wall. Cover's something solid that would stop a bullet. So consider these things. When you walk into a building, scan and look around. Know where the exits are. Know where cover is. I know this is a new way of thinking for people. But as the world gets crazier, we need to adjust so that we can survive, you know? There's scripture on this too. So 1 Corinthians 6:19 says, "What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and not of your own? For we are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which ye are God's." You know, our body is God's. We got to protect it because God built it. He put himself in us, and we've got to protect what he put in us. You know, Psalms 82:4 says, "Deliver the poor and the needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked." You know, when things are going wrong, we should look to our neighbors. We should look to protect them, not our neighbors. Sorry, but like if you see someone getting mugged or something, it's our responsibility to stop it. We shouldn't just allow this evil to happen. We must step in. A lot of bullies will stand down if we intervene, if people intervene, because they're cowards and they're trying to push themselves on other people. And if you stand up to them, they're cowards. You know, we must watch it out for ourselves and protect others. Proverbs 24:11, "Deliver those who are drawn towards death, and hold back those stumbling to the slaughter." You know, we're to preserve life and try to keep people from killing others, killing us, and even through suicides. If people are in trouble, try to intervene. You know, that's what scriptures are saying here. Now, here's a good one. I like this. Ezekiel 33:6, "But if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet," a warning trumpet, "and the people are not warned, and the sword comes and takes a person from them, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood I require from the watchman's hand." You know, this is an example of if there's a problem and you know it, warn people. Let people know there's a problem or the blood is on your hands. So if you know danger is coming to others and you deliberately fail to warn the others of the danger, you're guilty of harming the victims. This is a new way of thinking, isn't it? So I'm going to finish up here with watch and prepare, because we are ultimately responsible for our own safety. And you can look up Jonathan Gilliam's book. It's called Sheep No More if you want to learn more about how to protect yourself and how to think strategically in your daily life, your vacations, your work environment, everything like that, so that you're prepared if anything were to ever happen. Because we know we can learn to predict where these type of things can happen, and that book will show you. That's how I learned. So have fun, and thank you very much.